17 मार्च बरोज़ इतवार अपना कम्युनिटी सेंटर और NYC मेयर कम्युनिटी यूनिट के ज़ेरे एहतमाम सिविक इंगेजमेंट का प्रोग्राम मुनक्कद हुआ, जिसमें न्यूजीलैंड की दहशतगर्दी के वाक़े की सख्त मजम्मत की गई। इसके अलावा अपना कम्युनिटी सेंटर और अपना डे केयर वालों ने वुमेन हिस्ट्री मंथ भी सेलिब्रेट किया। सिविक एंगेजमेंट वर्कशॉप, जिसमें सानिया न्यूजीलैंड पे अफसोस और इजहार हमदर्दी और इस वाक़े की मजम्मत के लिए न्यूयॉर्क सिटी और न्यूयॉर्क स्टेट के नुमाइंदों के साथ साथ न्यूयॉर्क पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट, मसाजिद के इमाम, अपना अडल्ट डे केयर और अपना कम्युनिटी सेंटर के मेंबरान के अलावा पाकिस्तानी कम्युनिटी की एक कसीर तादाद ने शिरकत की। बाद में वुमेन्स हिस्ट्री मंथ भी सेलिब्रेट किया गया और अपना कम्युनिटी सेंटर के अलावा पाकिस्तानी कम्युनिटी की कई ख्वातीन की खिदमात को सराहा गया। प्रोग्राम डायरेक्टर मोहतरमा इरम हनीफ ने इस प्रोग्राम को होस्ट किया।
Good morning and assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Iram Hanif. I'm the program director of APNA Community Center. Welcome you all today at our center. I want to tell you about the program. There are 3 segments of our program today. The first segment of the program is Civic Engagement Workshop. The first segment is Meet Your Elected Representatives, and we are very honored that our Councilman Mark Trigger is with us here. Our Assemblywoman Mr. Steven Simbrowitz is here. Soon our Councilman Chaim is going to join us. Assemblywoman Michelle Francis will be here shortly with us, and our Borough President Eric Adam is going to join us. Eric Hagan is going to join us very shortly, representing Controller Stringer. We are expecting Council Member Matthew Eugene as well. And we have Sarah Sayed from Mayor's Office of Community Affairs. So the first part of the program is the Civic Engagement Workshop. The second part of the program is we are going to do a movement of silence in solidarity with the Muslims of New Zealand for the great loss for entire community. Our imams from 4 to 5 different mosques are going to join us shortly by 12:30, and we will do the solidarity. We'll show our solidarity or support with those victims of New Zealand. The third segment of our program is, as we have already announced, and it's the Women's History Month celebration. We are not doing a celebration as it was planned with the music and entertainment, but we want to recognize our women for their contribution and their endless support for the community and making our work-life balance. So that is the whole agenda of the program. Now I would like to request Sarah Sayed from Mayor's Office of Community Affairs to join us here and say a few words about the perspective of civic engagement.
Most of you in the audience might have come before to the prior 2 civic engagement workshops that were done here. This is the 3rd in a series. The first one we did was looking at we did a discussion about what civic engagement is and what your experiences with civic engagement are back in Pakistan, at home here. This is the new home. And so we talked about that. The second one we did was looking at the way city government is structured, all the different offices, the mayor, the city council, and other like agencies, etc. We looked at the controller, the public advocate. We talked about how certain agencies do their work, the budgeting process, right? That was all very detailed about how government operates. So the second one, who was here for that?
सेकेंड मंथ में जब हमने फरवरी में सिविक एंगेजमेंट की वर्कशॉप की थी, उसमें आप में से कितने लोग मौजूद थे फरवरी में जब सारा सैयद हमारे पास आई थी? We were pretty good number of people.
Very good. So today, the third in the series is to actually hear from the people who are representing you in government, right? So your council members, assembly members. You should know who these people are. You should have a sense of what kinds of issues they're working on your behalf in government. This is very, very important for us to be aware of how government works and who the people are that you can be talking to. Especially and always, but especially at a moment like this, when there has been such a severe critical incident that is impacting the Muslim community globally, really, as far as our security and safety. It's very important to have good relationships with the communities around you, with your elected officials. So I'm really looking forward to working with more of the imams and the masajid to bring the civic engagement workshop to you. And I also want to commend really APNA for putting this series together. This is what we need to continue to do more and more of. One thing I wanted to mention, is there someone named Muhammad Latif here?
Yeah.
Okay. The reason I wanted to ask about him is to say thank you, because the last time I was here, you need to translate, right?
Yeah.
The last time I was here, I gave you all a homework assignment. And that was to go home and talk to your family members about what you learned here. And Brother Muhammad Latif did his homework. And you know how I found out? It's because a friend of mine who works in another office, she said to me that one of her relatives who is related to him started telling her about how he had gone to a civic engagement workshop and came home and talked about the importance of civic engagement. So, you all may not talk to your elected officials, you may not do that, but you have a really important role as influencers in your family, right? To encourage your children, your grandchildren, to pay attention and to get involved. So I just want to thank you so much for being here, for coming to all three workshops, for taking an interest in this. It's very, very important. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
I just want to do a little translation. Sarah Saeed हमारे साथ पहले मौजूद थी और उन्होंने जो जनवरी और फरवरी में वर्कशॉप्स की थी, आप बहुत सारे हमारे सीनियर मेंबर्स ने वो अटेंड की थी, तो उन्होंने अभी नाम लिया अंकल अब्दुल लतीफ का, जिन्होंने मुझे भी आके ये बताया था कि इन्होंने घर जाके इनकी एक ग्रैंड डॉटर है जो कि सिटी में कहीं ऑफिस में काम करती है, उसे ये सारा कुछ बताया कि अपना में इस तरीके से वर्कशॉप्स हो रही हैं और वो बहुत अच्छी थी और हमें बहुत मालूमात मिली और बहुत अच्छा लगा, तो तुमको भी बेटा वहां जाना चाहिए। तो आपने बताया, तो सारा आपको थैंक यू कर रही हैं। और इसी तरह मेरे बहुत सारे और मेंबर्स हैं जिन्होंने अपने घरों में जाके अपने बच्चों को, अपने यंगस्टर्स को बताया, और अब वो बच्चे मेरे पास आ रहे हैं कि वी वांट टू वॉलंटियर विद अपना। द एल्डरली, दोज हु joined our earlier workshops, they went home and they talked about our workshops and whatever we are doing with their younger generation, and now the younger generation is coming to me and showing their interest to work with APNA as a volunteer. There are a long list of people, those who want to work with APNA as a volunteer and join APNA as a full-time and part-time staff member. So which I personally think is a big achievement, that we are somehow, the purpose of conducting these workshops is already being achieved, because we are able to unite people and people are taking extra part and active part in all these workshops and events and everything. Thank you so much. Now I would like to my co-host Fatima. She is a young, very energetic and passionate young girl studying, and she started with us as a volunteer, but now she is our full-time staff member, and she is a young leader from APNA, I would say. So Fatma is going to call our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Sarah Said, for your kind words. And now I would like to request Stephen Simbrovitz to step forward. He is our Assemblyman District 45th, to share a few words with the audience.
Civic engagement is key to getting things done in our community. But first, let me offer my sincere condolences to the Muslim community for the tragic event in New Zealand. Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, attacks by the right, attacks by the left is something that we must all fight together. It's something that we will not allow, whether it occurs here in the United States or in New Zealand. It is something that we must work together to make sure it never happens again. But civic engagement is key to getting things done in our community. I am the state assemblyman for the 45th Assembly District, and that takes in most of Brighton Beach, Manhattan Beach, Sheepshead Bay, Midwood, and we go parts of Gravesend. And what we do is we represent you in the state of New York. My office is located on Sheepshead Bay Road, and that's where we do constituent services, so you can come in, and if you have problems with agencies, whether they be city or state, or if you have problems dealing with your apartment or with your landlord, we work on issues dealing with that. I also have an office in Albany, and that's where I spend 6 months of the year working on legislation that affects all of us, not only here in Brooklyn, New York City, but the state of New York. The big issue that we're dealing with this year is, bless you, and as chairman of the Assembly Housing Committee, rent laws. Many of you might be living in apartments that are affected by rent regulations. But in June, those rent regulations expire, and we will be making them stronger to make sure that all tenants are protected from unscrupulous landlords that exist throughout New York State. So it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I look forward to hearing from my colleagues that are here. Councilman Traeger, it's good to see you throughout as we run into each other in the community. Same thing with Ari Kagan, wearing, let's say, the district leader hat today. No, not the district leader hat. Okay, see, never know. Okay, representing the controller of New York City. All right, so I thank you. It's a pleasure for me to be here, to be part of this very, very important event. Thank you very much.
Our Councilman Mark Trigger is already here with us, so I would request him to please come here and say a few words.
It is an honor to be with friends, to be with colleagues, so many distinguished community leaders. Thank you, APNA, for hosting us today, and I want to echo, of course, the remarks of my colleague. You know, there's only one word that came to mind when we got word of this horrific terror attack in New Zealand. The word horrific. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It was a horror. Let me be very clear that no one should live or pray in fear. No one, ever. The massacre against our Muslim brothers and sisters is really an attack against all of humanity. Everyone that believes in peace and love and unity. During these times, people always ask about solutions and, you know, what are the next steps? Obviously, the person responsible must be brought to justice. We must continue to reject hate and intolerance and ignorance. But I want to focus on the word ignorance because I say this often, I'm not just a council member, I'm also a proud former teacher, and I will always be a teacher at heart. Ignorance is not just a word, it is a disease. It is a highly contagious disease. And ignorance has found a very powerful carrier. The carrier is the use, or the misuse actually, of social media and media. And for those people who might not be informed about the truth and about facts, when they come across certain misinformation, their minds become impacted. Propaganda becomes that much more powerful. And so I think the enduring answers certainly begins with love at home. It begins with a quality education. And I think it also begins with finding ways to disconnect from all the negativity on social media and media in general, and finding time to spend time with your loved ones, your family, your friends, and your neighbors in your community, with maybe the phones turned off, maybe less social media time. Visit a beautiful APNA center here. Visit your library. Visit your house of worship. Visit your community center. Get to know your neighbors. I really believe that that is the enduring answer. Just the other day, we visited Liberation High School in Coney Island, where a student the other month drew a swastika on the desk, obviously looking for attention. But we turned pain into purpose. We invited a Holocaust survivor to speak to the children, and it was a conversation more than just showing pictures on a screen. We talked about the word scapegoat, which is a term that some people still need reminders on today. When we systematically assign blame to people that bear no responsibility. But it's so easy to do. And so we try to reach the hearts and the minds of our young people, to respect one another, and to be mindful of language. Because as my colleague mentioned, yes, Islamophobia is real, xenophobia, so many types of forms of hatred. Think about when you hear leaders on television refer to human beings as illegal, and then that gets repeated by people in restaurants or people on the bus. Be very mindful of that language. In my view, no human being is illegal. Am I right about that?
Yes.
We're all a part of a broader humanity. And so I stand in solidarity with my Muslim brothers and sisters to tell you that all of our hearts were broken, and that we stand with you. And I mentioned this yesterday, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a very profound quote about hate is too heavy a burden to bear. So he decided, and I decided, to stick with love.
I'm glad you mentioned about the language barrier, the voting booth, and I'm proud to say that we have made a tremendous effort within the community to go along with them, be there, and for the past 2 years we had a tremendous outpouring of voters going in and voting. And I would say the APNA Community Center has driven with vans, taken them to the center, helped them over there, guided them. So it is improving, but it needs a lot of improvement. I totally agree with you that we need more interpreters in the booth and more awareness. People are eager to vote, but they are not fully aware of the process. And I think as we can make efforts from our center and through the efforts of the councilmen and assemblymen, we can bring about change, because people want to vote, people want to be a part of the process, and I think it's just an education process. So hopefully we'll improve upon it, and I'm glad that you highlighted the event about this language thing, because I did know that while I was there myself, there were some other people, Russians probably, who were having difficulty getting to know where to go. So it's an important thing to highlight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pervez and Mr. Trigger, on sharing humble words for New Zealand incident, as well as providing enough information for District 47 and civic engagement. Now I would request Mr. Eric Hagen to step forward and share a few words with us.
Nice to see you all. My name is Eric Hagen. I'm a community liaison for New York City Controller Scott Stringer. He couldn't make it today, but he sent me, first of all, to express our sincere condolences and solidarity with Muslim community in Brooklyn, Muslim community in New York, in America, and all over the world. Hate against one person is hate against everybody. As you know, APNA Brooklyn Community Center, and many of you participated just a few weeks ago in a rally in Midwood against hate and anti-Semitism, and today we stand together against all kinds of hate, and innocent people were killed while praying in a mosque, which is like by itself, there is no measure to express our condolences and outrage as well. And the only way to fight hate is to show that we are different, that we are working together, and APNA Brooklyn Community Center is a prime example, because APNA working with everybody, for everybody and with everybody, in every community. And you know, every time you open any event, you can see people of every religion, nationality, and I know even in a new location already you had tax preparation and many other events for the entire community, which is the best. So that's to begin with. Again, we mourn with you and express our solidarity. Number 2, I represent citywide elected official. His name is Scott Stringer. He's the New York City Controller. For a reason, New York City Charter decided to create such a position. There is no city controllers in Berlin, in Minsk, in Tokyo, in Islamabad. There is no city controller. Why? Because city controller is elected by people of the city to make sure that money is spent properly, to make sure that every city agency is doing their job. That the main function of city controller is to fight waste, fraud, and abuse in city agencies. That's the main function of New York City Controller. Sometimes we call it as the Chief Financial Officer of New York City. So I wanted to emphasize that Controller Scott Stringer, talking about language access, realized very quickly that in our city not everybody speaks English, and this is a city of immigrants. And even in our materials, any reports, audits, and important newsletters, we often translate into different languages, like 10 most spoken languages, and I'm very proud to say that one of these languages is Urdu, and this is the best proof that I'm not making things up. This is manual for immigrant services in Urdu, and when APNA hosted street fair, we distributed 200 of these manuals, and I'm sure that this year will be even more. So that's one. Recently, Controller Scott Stringer issued housing report, and we did a summary of this housing report on a newsletter. And again, you understand this language? It's Urdu, again. And we do the same in Russian, in Arabic, in Chinese, and in several other most spoken languages in New York City. Again, we live in New York City, where we speak many languages, but the best language we speak is a language of love. This is the best language we have to speak, and we speak. And each time we hear someone spewing hate, we need to confront it, regardless of who is doing this and why. If someone is saying anti-Semitic stuff, we stand together. If someone saying Islamophobic stuff, we stand together against it. If someone saying like immigrants do not belong here, we need to clean up this country. This country is a nation of immigrants. What are you talking about? Everybody, when you look, someone came sometime to America, and that's why we are here in the first place. So if you notice my Russian accent, I also came to America from another country. It is my pleasure and privilege to call you my friends, and it is my privilege and honor to call Controller Scott Stringer friend of this community, and he will definitely come to APNA. Next time we'll make sure that he is here. If you have any questions, I have more of these Urdu language materials. And thank you, APNA, for doing amazing events for everybody. Thank you so much.
I want to do a little Urdu translation because a couple of my seniors don't understand what's happening, so I don't want them to feel left out. So यहाँ पे हम जो बातचीत सारी कर रहे हैं वो सिविक इंगेजमेंट के टॉपिक ही कर रहे हैं कि हमारे जितने जो मुंतखब नुमाइंदे हैं न्यूयॉर्क सिटी के अंदर, कंट्रोलर, काउंसिलमैन, असेंबलीमैन और डिफरेंट इदारे, उनका रोल क्या होता है, वो हमारे लिए क्या क्या खिदमात लेकर आते हैं और हम उन खिदमात से कैसे फ़ायदा उठा सकते हैं। अभी एरी कैगन कंट्रोलर को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहे थे, उन्होंने बताया कि बहुत सारा मटीरियल उर्दू लैंग्वेज में भी मौजूद है, आप लोगों को चाहिए तो आप मज़ीद मालूमात ले सकते हैं। हमारे सेंटर पे ये सारी बुक्स ऑलरेडी मौजूद हैं और अगर आपको चाहिए तो हम मंगवा सकते हैं। जैसे कि काउंसिलमैन मार्क ट्रिगर ने पहले बात की, अपने डिस्ट्रिक्ट के बारे में बताया और उन्होंने कहा कि हमारा डिस्ट्रिक्ट ऐसा वाहिद डिस्ट्रिक्ट है जिसके अंदर बहुत कम वोटिंग होती है। सबसे कम वोट्स हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट की तरफ से कास्ट होते हैं, तो हम लोगों ने लास्ट 2 वोटिंग्स में आप लोगों को, बहुत सारे लोगों को एज अ वोटर रजिस्टर भी कराया था और हमने अपने सेंटर से पिक एंड ड्रॉप प्रोवाइड किया था वोटिंग साइट्स पे। हमने अपने सेंटर से आप लोगों को बताया था कि आपने कहाँ जाना है वोट डालने के लिए, आपके घर के लिहाज से आपका वोटिंग का जो साइट है वो कौन सी है। इसी तरह हम लोगों ने एज ए कम्युनिटी ज्यादा इन्वॉल्व होना है। जब हम मिलकर बात करेंगे उसी तरीके से हमारी आवाज हमारे नुमाइंदों के तक पहुंचेगी और वो हमारे लिए बेहतर काम कर सकते हैं। आई वुड लाइक सारा सैयद, शी वांट टू शेयर सम मोर इंफॉर्मेटिव मटेरियल विद ऑल ऑफ अस।
So I wanted to just remind people of two concepts that we already learned, right? One is that there's a checks and balances system in government. So it's very important that you notice that someone like the controller or the council member, right, or the public advocate and the mayor are all intertwined with each other and responsible to each other to make sure that your needs are being addressed. So,
जो भी ऑफिसेज हैं, जितने भी दफातर हैं, चाहे मेयर का, कंट्रोलर का, असेंबलीमैन का, कांग्रेसमैन का या पब्लिक एडवोकेट का, वो सारे दफातर, सारे ऑफिस एक दूसरे से मुंसलिक हैं एंड देयर इज अ सिस्टम ऑफ चेक एंड बैलेंस। तो चेक एंड बैलेंस का मतलब है एक तवाज़ुन के साथ सारे दफातर आप साथ एक साथ मुंसलिक हैं और काम करते हैं। तो आप लोगों की नीड्स, आपकी जो हुकूक हैं, अगर वो सही तरीके से पूरे नहीं हो रहे, तो अगर आप एक ऑफिस को अप्रोच करते हैं, वहां से आपको जवाब नहीं मिलता, तो आप दूसरे ऑफिस के पास जा सकते हैं। वहां से जवाब नहीं मिलता तो आप उससे ऊपर वाले ऑफिस के पास जा सकते हैं और कह सकते हैं कि जी मैं पहले इस 2 ऑफिसेज में गया था, मेरी नीड पूरी नहीं हुई, मेरे हुकूक मुझे उस तरह नहीं मिल रहे। तो देयर इज अ सिस्टम ऑफ चेक एंड बैलेंस। इफ वन ऑफिस इज doing something, the other office already knew that what's going on and what they're doing for the community.
The other thing I wanted to remind everybody about is that there's different levels of government, right? So that's different concept than checks and balances. The level of government refers to the area, the geographic area that is represented in either city government or state government or federal government. So these are different levels of government. Remember last time we talked about how something like affordable housing, you know, in NYCHA, for example, the funding comes from the federal level, right? So that's it's important to remember that these are different levels. And here you have someone from the mayor's office present, but you also have your local council members, which is a smaller area than a citywide office, like the controller or the mayor. You also have your state areas, right? There's Senate and Assembly. So these are all different levels of government, all right? And they do different things for you. They allocate money for you in different ways. And the third thing I want to say is ultimately, all of these people are responsible to you, the people. We are accountable to you, so you have to remember to hold us accountable for the things that we are doing in office.
थैंक यू। दूसरा एक कॉन्सेप्ट जो सारा सईद ने अभी हमसे शेयर किया वो इस बात का कि डिफरेंट लेवल्स ऑफ गवर्नमेंट है, यानी मुख्तलिफ गवर्नमेंट के लोगों के मुख्तलिफ हायरार्की में ऊपर जाते हैं, लेवल डिफरेंट है। आपके लोकल नुमाइंदे, आपका काउंसिलमैन है, आपका असेंबलीमैन है, आपके साथ मेयर और जो कंट्रोलर का ऑफिस है वो पूरी सिटी को मैनेज और मॉनिटर कर रहे होते हैं। जो आपके लोकल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स होते हैं वो आपकी सारी नीड और हुकूक के ऊपर काम करते हैं। और ये सारे वो इदारे और वो लोग हैं जो कि हमारे लिए अकाउंटेबल हैं। जो भी वो करते हैं, जिस तरह से भी जो प्रोग्राम, जो भी फंडिंग आती है, जो भी प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं, उन सारे प्रोग्राम्स के अंदर जो भी उनका ऑफिस सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, रिसोर्सेज प्रोवाइड कर रहा है, जो भी कुछ वो कर रहे हैं वो सब हमारे लिए कर रहे हैं। हम जो लोग हैं, जो जिनके वो मुंतखब नुमाइंदे हैं, तो इन सब में भी एक लेवल्स होते हैं और हर लेवल के हिसाब से वो ऑफिस अपना अपना काम अंजाम दे रहा है। Before we call our next speaker, I would like to thank Lucy Acevedo from Community Board 13, Barbara, Marian, Larissa from Effective Home Care Agency, and a very good friend. We'll talk about her separately. And our 60th precinct, our police officers are here with us, so we want to thank everybody for taking out time and joining us today. Now we are moving towards our next speaker, our Assemblywoman Metal Francis.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. How are we doing today? I want to thank the organizers here at APNA. This is my second or third time here, but every time I'm here, I just really pick up on amazing energy. They're so talented, and I want to thank you for the work that you're doing in the community. So it looks like I missed my colleague, Steven Simbrowitz, who was here, so there's a chance I may repeat some of what he says. But I wanted to share with people what my job is as an assembly member. And it's really interesting because I'm newly elected. So since I've been in this seat, in this position, I've been moving around the district, talking to people, and it's been really interesting to get a sense of what people think I'm doing. So I want to say a little bit about what it means to be in the New York State Assembly. The New York State Assembly is referred to as the lower house of the New York State government. Have we heard that term before? Yes. So it's the lower house, the state senate is the upper house. So what is requested of us, what people are expecting us to do, is to pass legislation and to work on the state budget. So at the beginning of this legislative session, by the way, how long is our legislative session for in Albany? From January to June. Somebody has it right here, right, to June. So we have to actually go up to Albany every single week, and we spend the week there. For 6 months, we go up there every single week. And from July to December, we're able to stay in the district. So what are we doing when we're up there every week? So something really exciting is happening in Albany now, if you've been following. For the last 10 years, the New York State Senate, if I may say so, was being held hostage, and I'm even going to use the word hijacked, by another party who would not allow certain progressive legislation to pass. And this is why everywhere I go now, I tell people elections matter. Elections matter. Because when people finally had enough, when people around New York State said, we're not going to take this one other day, what did they do? They organized. And now, for the first time in a very long time, we have a progressive leadership in the Assembly and the Senate. And I've been telling everyone it feels like Christmas in Albany. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of the old legislation that's been sitting around collecting dust for many years, in January we've been dusting it off, and we've been able to pass bill after bill, legislation after legislation, which we had a hard time passing before. So what are some of the things you've probably just watching the evening news and have noticed that we've been passing since January? Just anything that comes to mind. Gender? Does that sound familiar? So we banned conversion therapy. We made it illegal to discriminate against people for being transgendered, etc. And week after week, we've been passing really amazing legislation. So my job as your assembly member is I'm actually here to serve you. I am here to take any ideas that you have, and we literally have a big poster that says, do you have any ideas for a new law? Reach out to your assembly member and let her know. So as I'm standing here this morning, I'm working on a list of different legislation that I intend to pass, and I would like to hear from you. I also want to invite everybody here to my very first Southern Brooklyn Community Think Tank. It's something that I spent a lot of time talking about last year when I was on the campaign trail, and many of you are nodding because I talked about it a lot. And the media kept saying, when is the think tank? When is the think tank? It's finally here. The first meeting is this Thursday from 6 to 8 at the Bay Ridge Public Library. The Community Think Tank is a place where everybody's going to be able to come and give ideas, and my office and the other legislators, Mark doesn't know this yet, but we may pass some of those suggestions over to him and all of the other Southern Brooklyn legislators. So I'd like to see everybody there this Thursday. The topic is tenant rights and affordability. Does that sound interesting? Yes, it does. So I'd like to see many of you there. And I'll say very quickly, forgive me because I'm fighting a bad cold. The other thing that we work on in the State Assembly is the state budget. Now, if Steve said this, please tell me so I don't have to repeat what he said. But he did?
No, he did not.
Ah, okay. So this is the time of year where Albany likes to do what's called a budget dance. And I would say it's not salsa dancing, it's a budget dance. So what is the budget dance? So we have the governor who is working on his executive budget. And then we have the New York State Assembly, of which I'm a member. We put together what's called the One House budget. And many times we have very long nights, okay, into the wee hours of the evening, where we are wrestling and fighting over how much money we should spend on Medicaid, how much money we should spend on public education, how much money we should spend on other things that New Yorkers rely on. You guys are relying on us, okay? The state Senate is doing the same thing. They work on their budget. And the budget dance, for years, we heard about the 3 men in the room. Does that sound familiar? We used to hear that expression for many years. Well, now guess what? It's not 3 men in a room anymore. It's 2 men and a woman, because now we have our very first female majority leader in the New York State Senate, which is very exciting. So now, with each person having their budget in hand, their job is to fight for the things that their caucus is fighting for. So those of us in the New York State Assembly, we look at the governor's budget and we say to ourselves, he didn't put enough money in public education. We're going to restore those cuts. We're going to double it. He didn't put enough money for street safety, for police safety. He didn't put enough money for some of the other things, for affordable housing. So that is our right to do our own budget. So where we are right now is we are in the middle of finalizing our budget. And one of the things that I will do, and I'll speak to Steve and some of my other assembly member colleagues, we will come back right here. Can I invite myself to come back right here? And we will present to everybody the final version of the budget that passes, and that's a promise, because I would like everybody to know what's going on. Please forgive me, I'm fighting a really bad cold, but that's all I have. I'm happy to take some questions.